Hey, everyone. This is Jets Chaos. I'm Jeremy, and we're here to talk about Membou. Membou is a guy we drafted on Thursday night, if you don't remember. He's an offensive tackle. But what did we think about this guy before that happened? Let's break down this guy from the unbiased perspective. Let's break this guy down by what we thought of him way back in February. Not what I thought of him, what the great Dom C, the great, I love saying that. It really embarrasses him. The great Dom C. What did he have to say about Membou? How did he rank in his top 10 in offensive tackles in the class? We all know that Dom C sparked controversy when he rated Josh Connolly his number one offensive tackle. But where did Membou fall on that top 10? This is a great breakdown for those of you who just are watching highlights only, but really want to hear some details about how somebody who went to scouting and graduated scout school has broken down our new right tackle. So enjoy. When the video is finished, if you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, you could even hit the notification bell so you know when I release these videos. Jet up, everybody. Jet up.
So number 2, much to the chagrin of Jets fans, my number two tackle on the board is Armand Membou.
And people will call that controversial. People will be upset, and it's silly because he's your number 2, and just because somebody
he's my number 2, and he's my number 20 player overall.
Right, and people have to understand that when you're evaluating players and watching film the way you do, and watching the film on the number of players you watch film on, to have somebody as your number 20, to have them as your number 2 tackle on the entire board is not an insult, just because it's not as high as some other people.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right, so Membou. Let's get into Membou, right? Because he's the hot button topic for Jets fans these days. And listen, and I will say he's my number 20 player on the board. My number 1 tackle is number 19. So that just shows you where I'm at with this tackle class.
Right.
And I know that some of these guys are going to go before them. That doesn't, I get it. That's fine. This is just my grades on these guys. And I know Membou's in play at 7 if he's on the board. And would it be my first choice? No. Would I be upset if he was the pick? Also no. Because I think he's really good. Excuse me.
And it's a tremendous position of need.
Yeah. 335 pounds, versatile. He checks off all the boxes that you want, right? In terms of arm length, in terms of wingspan. He's a little bit shorter, a little bit more stout. Some think that he's, built like a guard. However, I just think he plays really, really, he's a little bit smaller. It helps him to his advantage because he's already got that natural low center of gravity. He's got a really, really good anchor because of it. And you're talking, obviously, everyone saw him test, man. He is an elite athlete for a guy that size, 6'4" and a half, 330 some odd pounds. Shouldn't move the way he does. Phenomenal range in his ability to reach set points, not only in his pass blocking but in his run blocking. Missouri ran a really, really heavy zone blocking scheme, and he was ideal for it, right? Quick hands, quick feet, turns his feet, does all the things that you want, can get to the second level, can navigates his way through traffic very well, doesn't get picked off. Really, really good play strength. Those strikes of, he dominates people sometimes with the strikes. Super, super aggressive. He super, super aggressive in not only his run blocking, but in his pass sets with the jump set, if you will. Gets people, is not afraid to initiate contact, which is really, really nice. Penalties, the bendy guys gave him some trouble. That's the fact. Footwork can get a little sloppy in his pass sets, or in some of his reach blocks as well, can tend to overset, can get beat like that. I know Nick Skeleton from Texas A&M, who's a really, really good edge rusher as well, going to be a top 50 player. He gave him fits. He was the one guy that I thought really this past year really dominated Membou. He was the one guy that just had Membou's number. But that's his play style. He's very, Scarton's very quick. He's got a good first step. He's got an even better inside counter, which tends to give him a little bit of, gave him a little bit of trouble. Sometimes Membou looks like he questions, what he should do. Because sometimes those speed rushers that get by you, the best thing that you can do is just ride him right up the arc. Just take him right out of the play. Let him run, and you stay and you run with him, and you stay the wall between him and the quarterback.
It's so funny that you're saying that. And I just have to interrupt you and say that because the other day I was watching Membou. I told you, I texted you that I'm watching Membou right now, and I kept on shaking my head and saying, dude, and I actually said this. You need to walk the arc with him, man. You need to move. You need to walk the arc, dude. You need to walk the arc. It's almost like he's trying too hard. He's like trying to fight him, and the guy's breaking through too soon. It's like, no, walk him around the arc. Like I keep saying it.
Yeah. So what he does, like I said, because he's very aggressive with a jump set. So he'll try to beat a guy to the outside and do it in an aggressive fashion instead of just a normal 45 set where you're kind of retreating a little bit. You get your hands in your retreat. He's actually jumping to the mark to kind of to set the tone on the protection or whatnot. And sometimes he gets beat. And what he'll try to do is he'll try to get in front of the guy and re-anchor. He'll try to get in front of the guy and kind of reset and lower his hips and get his hips under him and drive through his hips to just like stop the rush. And it doesn't always work, And sometimes I think when he's trying to do that, just like you said, all you need to do is just use the momentum that the edge rusher's taking and just let him go, man. Let him go.
Right.
Just run up the arc with him.
Instead of trying to stop and anchor him, just guide him. Just guide him around. And I noticed that. And then I'll tell you what I loved about Membou, though. What I did notice and I loved is and you tell me what you think about this. I noticed that he's better when you run behind him, not away from him. Like, there were times when they lined him up at left tackle and he was just throwing the guy to the left and creating a hole between him and the guard. And he did it like several plays in a row. And I said, my God, I would do that all day with him. He did it better at left tackle. I mean, I didn't see it at right tackle, but I assume he could do the same thing. Yeah. Like run right between him and the guard and tell him to push his guy to the outside. And that seemed to me gold for him.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he's powerful. He's low. He's got a low center of gravity. He's strong as an ox. So those type of torque blocks where he can just, use his strength and kind of turn or choose, where to displace the defensive lineman definitely work to his benefit. I actually like him better on the outside stuff. Like I love him out as a lead blocker. I love him in the outside zone stuff. Where he gets hands on guys and gets up into the second level and gets hands on guys and ends up being the lead blocker. He's really, really beneficial in the screen game. He's so athletic, man. He's so athletic for a big guy like that.
Well, you got to take advantage of that athleticism, right? I mean, what's the point of drafting him and then not letting him get to the second level?
Yeah. He's also I'd like to see him widen his base a little bit more. He plays a little bit narrow. And I don't know if it's like a new age thing, because there's a lot of guys that I have my scouting reports that said the same thing. Not Joe Walt. Will Campbell's another one. Will Campbell looks like his heels are almost together. You know what I mean? And that where it hurts him is, like sometimes these bull rushers, these power rushers in NFL, your base is too narrow. They're going to go run right through your chest. So yeah, that's Membou in a nutshell. I think he's, really good. He's definitely going to be in play for the Jets at 7. He's another guy. He'll be 20 at the draft. He'll be 20 years old. He won't even be able to have a legal drink after he's selected in the first round. How crazy is that?
Oh my God.